You're listening to Turi Writer's She Said What podcast. I'm Turi, along with Marcy Persky. Maybe you've thought that the movie rating system is a little dysfunctional and out of date. So do we, but not for the reasons you'd guess. Also, that thing you found in the pocket of the thing you packed away 10 years ago, don't eat that.
I'm unwinding this wire from around my neck.
Oh, speaking of unwinding a wire from around your neck, not going where you think it's going. Have you ever had it happen that you watch a movie that someone has recommended and you discover that you have watched the wrong movie?
I don't think so.
Well, I had not had this experience either until last week. My girlfriend recommended this movie. She'd paid $5 to rent it on her streaming service. It was recent. I was very delighted to see that on my streaming service it was free and it had been released in the last couple of years. And I watched it and I'm thinking, why would she recommend this movie? It's full of people being garroted with wires and shot and blood. And I'm thinking, what? This doesn't seem like her usual movie. And she had mentioned the two stars, and a male star had one of those exotic foreign names. And this star had an exotic foreign name. It is a different one. And I had read reviews that the female star, Jessica Chastain, looked really unusual in the movie. And I thought, well, she looks really unusual in this movie because I don't recognize anyone at all. It looks like I watched this movie for 2.5 hours. And then I call my friend and I say, this was not a good movie. And I couldn't find, and I go through the whole list and she says, well, what was the movie about? And I say, it was about a guy who's a professional hitman. And she says, well, that wasn't the movie that I recommended. Well, it turns out that released 1 year apart are two movies with the exact same name.
Oh, no. Well, I guess at least since you sat there and watched it all the way through, should be glad it wasn't like porn.
Well, I think I would have felt free to turn that off sooner. I have learned as an adult that you can put down books that you really don't like. There's nobody testing you at the end. I went through this phase for a while. Do you feel that there are certain books that you should read to be an educated citizen of the world?
No.
Oh. Well,
no.
As an
I'm an educated citizen of the mountain.
There you go. That'll do. Just make your world a little smaller. That should be my goal as well. I'd never read a whole bunch of Hemingway. I didn't like Hemingway. But I told myself that I should read more Hemingway. And I tried several times to read two different Hemingway books. And both times I just sort of got disgusted. And finally, a little voice in my head said, This is not anything you need to spend your time on. Your world will not dissolve. Your children will not be born with 12 thumbs if you don't read these books. I quit them. And then, get this. My dear and highly Ivy League, multiple degree educated girlfriend had a favorite book all through high school. And that's another one that I tried to read. And that was the Sunlight Dialogues and by a famous author. And I tried several times to read it and it made no sense. And then I never admitted to her that I hadn't read her favorite book. And now, decades later, I said to her, I'm sorry to tell you this, but I never was able to read the Sunlight Dialogues. And she said, that's because it's about an acid trip. And I was doing a lot of acid at the time. Damn it. Why don't people tell you why they think these things are good? I had another one where my girlfriend's boyfriend went on and on and on about it's a mad, it has 4 mads world.
Yes.
It was the funniest
famous movie.
Funniest movie he'd ever seen. Had to watch. So we all had dinner together at my girlfriend's house, and we all got our favorite snacks out. In those days, you had to rent a tape, and we had the TV and the VCR, and we put in the tape of It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. And we're watching. We're We're waiting to be amused. We're waiting to laugh uproariously. We're waiting for something, anything to happen. And nothing is happening. And no one is laughing. And finally, my girlfriend's boyfriend, who had been in recovery at that point for about 15 years, said, I think this was funnier when I was using. What? So I think that, these Rotten Tomatoes rating services and
Yes.
all these, there should be a rating for when you watch it straight and a rating for when you watch it when you're wasted out of your skull, because they're not the same rating is what I've learned.
Well, we choose our movies by the lowest star rating possible, and then we know that we're gonna like it.
Well,
We like the movies no one else likes.
good. Don't read The Sun Also
Yeah.
Rises by Hemingway is my suggestion for you.
That Hemingway. No, I'm more into the sleazy autobiographies of Ozzy Osbourne and AC/DC and anything
Wait a
that's
minute.
tragedy.
Why would you want to read Ozzy Osbourne's autobiography, seeing as you've interviewed him and he's completely inarticulate? What's in it for you there?
Well, I'm sure he did not write it
Of
himself.
course not. Of course
But
he didn't.
Did you know that he snorted ants off the ground
He
while on
didn't ri-
tour with, I
okay.
believe, AC/DC?
He
It's in both books.
he probably didn't.
Or is it not AC/DC? It's
He wasn't
Tommy
in it.
Lee.
Yeah. Well, Tommy Lee. Wait, I'm
Yeah,
confused.
Girls, girls.
Okay. So here's what I have to say.
Yeah.
If
About
you're
snorting ants.
all of it, if you have completely toasted your brain by years of drug abuse and you hire a ghostwriter for your autobiography, they can put any damn thing they want in there and you probably won't notice it until the book is out and distributed. There have got to be more attempted murders of ghostwriters than just about any other occupation. I would venture to say that ghostwriting the books of famously, formerly, or currently drug-addled celebrities is probably right up there in the level of danger with serving overseas in a war zone.
Well, do you think that killing ghostwriters is where the song "Ghost Riders in the Sky" came from?
Oh, there's a thought. I think that's riders, though, darling.
Oh, well, writers.
I
Turry
like the
rider,
idea.
what's the difference?
I like the idea, though, of ghost riders in the sky. That's charming. Now I have a visual. Yeah, they should be the ghost riders in the sky. Yippee-yi-yay, yippee-yi-yo.
Yeah. So I woke up this morning for some reason
Wait, now I
with
got it
the
stuck in
surge
my
of
head.
energy.
Dun, 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 dun,
Oh,
dun,
yeah.
dun, 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 dun.
Ghost riders in the sky.
It's gonna drive me. I must thank you though, because
You're welcome.
I had a really bad 70s hit stuck in my head all morning.
Now
it's
now
gone.
you have ghost riders in the
Vaporized.
sky.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now I can't even remember what it was. It worked that fast.
Hey.
What
So
was
it's
it?
really hot and really humid here.
Humid.
Humid. It's actually humid because we're in the monsoon season, and it's just miserable. And for some reason, unbeknownst to me, I woke up with this surge of energy and said, okay, now I have to do everything that I've been putting off for like 10 years.
Oh,
So
like
I start going through clothes, and I found a Tootsie Roll, like just a little Halloween Tootsie Roll that is probably older than the Big Bang. I mean, this Tootsie Roll. I stared at it I set it on the bed. Cats didn't go for it. Dogs didn't go for it. It was in its wrapper still. And I couldn't decide if I wanted to eat it or not.
what?
And
Is
so
somebody gonna have to write
I-
a biography of you
I-
now? Is this what's happened to you?
yeah. Yes, I ate this volcanic Tootsie Roll.
I'm sure there are some perfectly fresh ants you could snort if you really wanted to go outside and do that.
I know. It took me a really long time to decide, and I couldn't resist. And so then
Wait, you couldn't resist?
I started close.
You couldn't resist a
I
Tootsie
love
Roll
Tootsie Rolls.
that possibly dates from the
Tootsie Rolls are
70s?
the best.
Oh,
Well, I think they live forever like cockroaches.
I think you're the only person I know who actually likes Tootsie Rolls.
I love Tootsie Rolls.
Tootsie Rolls were the candy that I traded when my younger siblings were too naive to know any better for all the good stuff on Halloween.
Oh, I didn't trade. I stole them. I went and took all the Tootsie Rolls. And I still love them. And my husband still brings them to me.
Aw.
When I say, bring me chocolate.
That's not chocolate. That's
So I found a Tootsie Roll.
Yeah.
Then I throw a whole bunch of clothes into the washer
Okay.
that I was going to donate.
Okay.
And when I was emptying it out,
Oh, no, more
I found
Tootsie
5
Rolls?
chapsticks.
Oh,
No.
5 chips.
And they're all clean. So
I don't think you can donate those.
no, I'm going to use them. I love chapstick.
It all sounds very productive, even if the Tootsie Roll consumption was a little bit nauseating.
It was delicious. It took a while to chew. I can't believe I'm telling you this.
Okay. I can tell you that if I found my cheap candy amusement of choice in a 20-year-old box of T-shirts, like if somebody handed me a Reese's cup that had been tucked away for 20 years, I think that'd go straight into the trash. I don't think I'd consider it even for 5 seconds. But did I ever tell you the story of my grandmother and the blueberry picking?
No.
Well, Grandma Rose, of blessed memory, when I started dating the spousal unit, she was not enthused about my choice. But he would send me every time I went to New York with a home canned jar of something from his garden, pickled peppers or tomato sauce. And about the 4th time I brought her a mason jar full of something to eat, my grandmother, who had grown up hungry, finally relented. She looked at me and she said, "Well, with this man, you'll never go hungry." And every time I would come in with one of these mason jars, she would talk about how as a young woman, she and her sister would go up to the Catskills and they would pick blueberries and they would make jam. And then, and mind you, I was named for this great aunt, and at this point I was well into my 30s. So this blueberry jam would have been, I don't know, 40, 50 years old. And my grandmother would point to a cabinet way high up in the heart of her vertical New York, pink painted, red linoleum countered New York City tiny postage stamp kitchen, and she'd say, there's still some up there. And of course you can guess, when she died, I got up on a ladder, and there, about 10 feet in the air, behind cabinets that hadn't been opened in probably 40 years, were mason jars with the much discussed jam in them.
Finely aged.
They didn't have an anaerobic bacteria in them because they were still sealed. But if it had been your house, you would have eaten that jam.
I would have.
Since it was not your house, we just looked at them in astonishment, poured them down the drain, and took the mason jars home. But honestly,
what a waste of blueberry.
That's what my grandmother would have said. Exactly. So it's a good thing she was dead and she couldn't hear it or see it or know it.
I guess. The Tootsie Roll is safe in my gut, and I'll have Frankie call you if we're in the emergency room later. It was only one of those, like, 1-inch ones. It wasn't a big one.
What are we all hearing now all over the news? How much fentanyl it takes to kill you?
There was no fentanyl in my Tootsie Roll.
Right. I'm just saying the fact that it was 1 inch long doesn't make a damn bit of difference if it's really toxic. That's all I'm saying.
Tootsie Rolls, like I said, I think they live forever. They would survive nuclear war.
Well, let us hope. Let us all take a moment of silence here and hope that you are correct and that there is another podcast after this one.
Amen.
Thanks for listening to the Turi Writers She Said What podcast. Since you've made it to the end, you might want to know that my book, She said, "What? A Life on the Air is not only available in print, but now also in complete audiobook form, narrated by me and available on Audible.